man is back.
Oh, okay, boys. Oh my gosh, the man got that stuff. This is a 5 out of freaking 5.
It is beat making time.
Next week is E3 week. My album comes out next week.
I have the Lebron.
This is your boy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube citizens, y'all know who this is. This is your boy Dash, True Inferno. Back at it with another Call of Duty Black Ops 7 commentary video gameplay for you guys. And I know this story is like, what, 2 to 3 weeks old? However, I need to talk about it. Because this has been on my mind for a good minute now. So we're going to talk about it. So what am I talking about? Obviously, you can tell by the title. But I'm talking about the fact that LeBron James trashed Memphis on a golf course. So that's what we're talking about. And apparently there's a video of him doubling down. So I haven't seen that video yet. I need to watch that video. But what's going on? So, and I'm going off of, even though I saw the video, I seen other people talk about it. So I know for the most part what he said. But I'm going to go off of yourrev.com, EURrev.com. And they said the following. Let's get one thing straight. LeBron James is 41-year-old, worth over $1 billion, and still playing NBA at a level that make 25-year-olds cry, which is true. So when he complains about something, people listen, which is also true. But when he complains about Memphis on a golf YouTube show, while surrounded by, and this is a quote, a bunch of right dudes, end quote, as Stephen A. Smith so colorfully puts it, oh, you better believe the internet lost its collective mind. What did LeBron actually say? Buckle up. So on the April the 2nd episode of Bob Does Sports, which is a actual YouTube channel, LeBron unloaded on the city of Memphis like it's personally stole his organic almond milk. So here's the quote. He said on the show, on the YouTube channel, whatever, on the video, staying at the fucking Hyatt at 41 years old, you think I want to do this shit, or do that shit rather? Being in Memphis on a fucking random ass Thursday. Now, originally he was talking about Milwaukee. He was saying the same stuff about Milwaukee. But that's pretty much all he said about Milwaukee. And then he went on to like gave Memphis as an example. And then, moving on, then he told the Grizzlies organization directly, we're all like, you guys have to move. Just go over to Nashville. Oh, and that's a quote. Oh, and he topped it up by saying that if the Grizzlies had won the 2003 draft lottery and drafted him, he, and this is another quote for him, might have pulled an Eli Manning, end quote, and refused to play there. So, yeah, interesting stuff right there. So, yeah, no filter. Going to continue on with the article. No filter, no apologies, just pure, unfiltered, I'm too old for this high energy. So, we're going to talk about, that's all I'm going to refer to from the article. Everything else I'm not going to talk about. Although, I do want to see this video of him apparently doubling down. So, I'll be right back. Okay, so I saw the video where he was interviewed about that, and here's what he said. Now, here's the one thing that he said that kind of makes up for what how it was presented on the golf course, based on what he said on the golf course. Basically, he was talking about. He said he was not talking about the people of Memphis. He did say that. He also said, and I quote, "Did I say I don't like black people?" And the interview said no, and he's like, exactly. So, yeah, he did make up for it. So, you're probably wondering, so why is this a big deal? Now, before that video came out of the interview, here's why this was a bit of a big deal. When you're looking at Memphis in comparison to Nashville, because he literally said, even though this wasn't mentioned in this article, which is interesting, but no, he literally said, go continue on with that first video with him on the golf course on the Bob Does Sports. He literally said, yo, the Grizzlies should go to Nashville. He talked about how Nashville got all these other stuff, like a racing, they got a hockey team and all this other stuff. And then he's like, yo, then the Grizzlies should just go over there. And yeah, I mean, he did say this, and they did say this in the article, just go to Nashville. But he went on to explain, what Nashville got, and then just say, yo, just go over to Nashville. Now, before I talk about how this is a bad look, originally a bad look, let me also say this. I think he also referenced this in Memphis Such Craig. Not in this video, but somewhere else. Other NBA superstars have said that, yo, the Grizzlies should move out of Memphis. There's a video of Draymond Green's basically saying the same thing, but he went on to elaborate why exactly. He talked about the facility being terrible. He talked about the hotels being terrible. So with something like that, it's like, okay, no problem there. KD said pretty much the same thing. Granted, I don't know there's a video of him saying that, so I can't really criticize him for saying that. I can't side with him for saying that. I can't accept what he said because I didn't see the context of it. All I know is apparently KD pretty much said the same thing that Draymond said. So I'm just stating the fact that apparently that's the thing. So that's all I'm saying in regards to that. Now, with that said, the reason why it looked bad originally when LeBron said that is because let's look at Memphis in comparison to Nashville. Memphis is dominantly black. I think the number is 63% of the citizens of Memphis being black. Not to mention, Memphis is like amongst the poorest cities out there. Like, especially when it comes to well-known cities. So like when you go to Tennessee, it's really 2, maybe 3 cities down there that you think of. Nashville, Knoxville maybe, and Memphis. Those are the 3. So when it comes to known cities all across the country, because like, for example, if you go to Illinois, it's Chicago, that's it. When you go to Michigan, it's Detroit, and to a degree, and Auburn, and Lansing because of the college teams over there. When you go to New York, obviously it's New York, you know, in terms of New York City, rather, Times Square, even though that's all considered New York City. You can also look at Brooklyn, the Bronx, Queens, Harlem, stuff like that, even though that's more rap territory and kind of hoodish. But you can't look at them in that aspect. When you go to Pennsylvania, it's Pittsburgh and it's Philly. When you go to Texas, it's San Antonio, it's Dallas, it's Houston. And then don't get me started on Cali. Nevada is Las Vegas. You know, Oregon is Portland. You know, stuff like that. When it comes to well-known cities across the country, Memphis is, right, frankly, the poorest. You can make an argument right at that. They are the poorest. I mean, Oakland is there with them too, but Memphis is arguably the poorest well-known city out there. So there's that. In comparison to, I'm not saying Nashville is the richest, but if you were to look at Nashville racial population, right, then you can tell, right, that the majority of people who live in Nashville are mostly Caucasian. So in fact, if you were to type this up in Google, AI overview would say that 52, well really, I'm gonna round up, 53 to 55% of people who live in Nashville are white. 25 to 20, well really, 24.5, basically 25% are either black or African American, which are, and that's second. And then it goes on from there. So we talking about LeBron James suggesting that, yo, the Grizzlies should go away from a city that is dominantly black and poor, and their only, well, one of their, arguably their biggest revenue in terms of money coming into the city is the Memphis Grizzlies. LeBron is saying, take the Grizzly from that, from black people who live in Memphis, which is, again, 60 to 63% of the city population, and moving it to a city that is dominated by white people while being surrounded by white people on a golf course. Yeah, that's a bad look. I will admit, that is a bad look. And here's another reason why it's a bad look for him to say that. Like I said, Draymond wasn't under those circumstances, and again, neither were KD, as far as I know of anyway. But here's the difference between the likes of Draymond Green and even the likes of Kevin Durant when it comes to LeBron James. LeBron James is one of the 2 only NBA global icons. They are. Like, yeah, you got global ambassadors, so, you got their players that represent the game and stuff like that. But when it comes to notoriety, I can't pronounce that word. When it comes to being well known, like outside the world of sports, it's LeBron James and Steph Curry. That's it. So let's be honest. There's certain people in the world that everybody should know, whether they're into that category or not, whether they're into that hobby or not, whether they have that interest in what they do or not. So for example, I'm a black guy, and while I don't listen to I don't listen to rock music or heavy metal or rock and roll or anything like that, but I know who Metallica is. I know who the Rolling Stones are, I know who Limp Bizkit is. I know who Kiss is, stuff like that. So if you're in the world of Pokemon, and let's be honest, if you're in the world of Pokemon, you're not really athletic, you're not really messing with sports like that, generally speaking. But at the same time, you should know who LeBron James is. You should know who Steph Curry is. And that's it. Everybody else, okay, you can get a pass. But everybody around the world should know who LeBron James is and who Steph Curry is. So for Kevin Durant and Draymond Green, even though they are well known in the basketball world, and in KD's case, he's more well known than Draymond Green in the sports world, but they can get away with those circumstances because they're not the global icon that LeBron James is. Because, let's be real, in the GOAT conversation, he's a part of it. Whether you like, well, even though Jordan is the GOAT, but I can see why LeBron James could be in the GOAT conversation because of the fact that he's been playing for this long and still remain relevant in terms of talent and contributing to the game to the point where his teams can still win games, stuff like that. Yeah, he's top 3. He's top 3 of all time. Something that Draymond Green isn't. Something that Kevin Durant isn't. Kevin Durant is not even top 10, despite what Stephen A. Smith may try to push out there. No, he's not top 10. Stop it. But at the end of the day, the bottom line is this. LeBron James is at a different level than every other player in the league right now, maybe with the exception of Steph Curry. So anything he says will hold a lot more weight. That's just how it is. So for him to say that while on the golf course, surrounded by white dudes, is not a good look. And, there are people who talk about, like trying to make an excuse for him or whatever the case may be. And it's like, well, that's because you're not getting the message. You're not getting the imagery behind it all. Either that or you really don't care about Memphis. You really don't like Memphis. So, but again, when he did that second video, he did, made himself look better to a degree. While it's still a bad look, but that second video did make himself look better because, again, he said that he was not talking about the people of Memphis. He was not talking about, but to be more honest, he was talking about the facility and the hotels, which is the same thing that Draymond was referencing, where he said that, Memphis should not, Memphis should move. And in Draymond's case, he was talking about how Memphis is in the Western Conference, but it's in the East. It's an Eastern city. Tennessee is an Eastern city. Yeah, yes, it's also a Southern city, but it's also in the East. So yeah, Draymond makes a good point in that regard. And I always wonder that, why is Memphis considered a Western Conference team when, graphically speaking, they are in the East of the United States? So I can see why people don't like, or players don't like traveling to Memphis in a playoff series. If this is, for example, I'm thinking of Minnesota. But yeah, Memphis not in the playoffs. But you get the gist of it. If Memphis was in the playoffs, whoever team that faced against Memphis, it's a pain to go all the way over there and then back. Especially if it's like somebody from Cali or, Oregon, the Portland Trail Blazers, the Utah Jazz or something like that. Yeah. That could be annoying. The Phoenix Suns is another example who I'm watching right now. Yeah, that could be annoying. So I can understand that. Draymond makes a lot of sense. And Draymond was more detailed. He was more clear in terms of the fact that, the Grizzlies, in terms of their facility, is terrible. And the hotels in Memphis, like the Hyatt apparently, they're terrible too. So I can understand in that case, players going to Memphis to play ball, I can see why they don't like it. But at the same time, to say, let's take it away from Memphis, which is mostly populated by black people, and let's put it in a city that is mostly dominated by white people, while playing golf surrounded by white people, is not a good look, especially for somebody with the stature of LeBron James. That's the whole point right there. Nobody's saying that he should be ridiculed or anything like that. It's just that, what you're saying on a show, it wasn't like he was secretly recorded, but what you said on the show, that's not a good look. If he were to say he don't like Memphis and he don't like Milwaukee, this wouldn't be a big deal. Because there's cities and states in the United States that everybody don't like. I don't like Ohio. I don't like Minneapolis because of their cops, And there's certain cities in Ohio that I don't like. Like, for example, I don't like Cleveland. I don't like Columbus, even though I've been to both of those cities. And I'll be honest, look, this is a Michigan Wolverine guy. I have rode a bike through Ohio State campus. at night. And it's a nice campus. I ain't gonna front. It's a nice campus. So I'll give credit where it's due. Downtown Columbus ain't bad. And the Ohio State campus, it's pretty cool at night, especially at night. It's pretty cool. I ain't gonna front. But at the same time, I still don't like Ohio because of the rivalry and because of how their cops are as well. And how their roads are going to and from Columbus are terrible. And I don't like Minneapolis because of their cops. Even though I've never been, but funny enough, I am planning on going this year to visit some friends actually. But at the end of the day, if he would have said, oh, he don't like Milwaukee, he don't like Memphis, okay, whatever. This wouldn't be a big deal. But he went on to say, yo, Memphis should, the Grizzlies rather should move out of Memphis and go to Nashville, surrounded by a bunch of white dudes on the golf course. And it's not a good look. It's not, the fact that he said that, is it the end of the world? No. Should LeBron James be ridiculed? No. Should he be disqualified from the GOAT conversation or from being an NBA legend, all that stuff? No. But again, it's not a good look. That's basically the whole point. It's not a good look. And before I sign off, I'll say this as well, because I didn't mention this in my original recording. That is this. The Memphis Grizzlies, that's all that Memphis have. It's not like they have a baseball team down there that can pick up the slack, whatever the case may be. No. When it comes to pro sports, it's the Grizzlies, and that's it. So if Memphis was to lose the Grizzlies, they would have nothing. They would have nothing. There will literally be no reason to go to Memphis. Unless you want to go there for historical reasons, going back to the whole Martin Luther King fiasco. But outside of that, there would be no revenue coming into Memphis if the Grizzlies left. Like, none. Nada. Zero. Zilch. And you talk about revenue that Memphis needs going to Nashville that, in my opinion, don't need any more revenue. So, yeah. That's another reason why it's a bad look. Because it's make it look like that LeBron is advocating for Memphis to have no revenue coming in, and for the citizens of Memphis, which is again, the majority of them are black, to be poor. That's how it looked. Now, am I saying that's what he's saying, or that's what he meant, or that's what he was saying? No, but that's how it looked, and that's why this is a bad look for him to say what he said about Memphis should be shipped out to Nashville. And I'm gonna call it a wrap. So with all that said, y'all know what this is. This is boy New Jake Aspie, aka New Stephen A. Smith, saying peace out, y'all, and I'll see y'all next time. Yeah.